The grand chamber of Celestial Station Alpha sparkled under the light of three suns. Council Head Do-One sat in his elevated chair, trying not to fall asleep during yet another boring trade meeting. His silver skin, typical of Proximans, reflected the golden light as he nodded along to a minor dispute about fruit prices between two outer worlds. "The price of stellar oranges cannot go up by 30%, shouted one representative. "But the solar flares damaged our crops," replied another. Do-One had led the Galactic Council for 20 years. In all that time, nothing truly exciting had ever happened. The Council controlled 200 star systems, and peace had lasted for over 3 centuries. They were the undisputed rulers of this part of space, or so they thought. At the back of the chamber, junior analyst Newell stared at her datapad with growing worry. The young woman's hands shook as she read the latest sensor reports. Something massive had just appeared at the edge of Council space, something bigger than anything their sensors had ever picked up before. "Excuse me," Newell said softly, raising her hand. Nobody noticed her. "Excuse me," she said louder, standing up. The fruit price argument stopped. 300 pairs of eyes from 15 different species turned to look at her. Do-One frowned at the interruption. "Young analyst, you know the rules. Junior staff cannot speak during full council sessions," he said firmly. Newell swallowed hard but stood her ground. "Sir, I apologize, but our long-range sensors have detected something unusual, something very big." Senior Ambassador Tai Yang, an older man with carefully combed gray hair, laughed. "Child, if this is about another large asteroid, please let the defense fleet handle it. We are discussing important trade matters." "It's not an asteroid, sir," Newell said, connecting her pad to the main display. A huge hologram appeared above the council chamber. "This object is moving at high speed toward council space. It's bigger than our largest space station." The chamber went quiet. Do-One sat up straighter in his chair. The hologram showed a massive shape, surrounded by energy readings that made no sense to their instruments. "Impossible," whispered Tai Yang. "Our sensors must be malfunctioning. Nothing can be that big and move that fast." Captain Jai-Ho of the Council Defense Fleet stepped forward. Unlike the politicians in their fancy robes, he wore a simple blue uniform. "The sensors are working perfectly, Ambassador. I've already ordered 3 patrol ships to investigate." The chamber erupted in worried whispers. Species that had been arguing moments ago now huddled together, staring at the hologram with growing fear. "Council Head Do-One," Newell said, her voice stronger now. "The energy readings from this object, they're like nothing in our database. It's using some kind of drive system we've never seen before. And," she paused, checking her pad again, "it's accelerating." Do-One raised his hand for silence. In 3 centuries, the Council had never faced a situation like this. They had grown comfortable, lazy even. Their technologies had barely improved in the last 100 years. Why bother when you're already in charge? "Captain Jai-Ho," Do-One said, his silver face reflecting the red warning lights that had started flashing. "Send a message to whatever that is. Standard greetings in all known languages." "Already done, sir," Jai-Ho replied. We received no response, but he looked down at his own pad, his face going pale. "Sir, we're picking up active scans from the object. They're scanning beams. They're going right through our strongest shields like they aren't even there." The fruit traders who had been arguing earlier now sat together, forgotten produce prices floating on their ignored screens. Newell worked frantically at her station, trying to make sense of the readings. "New data coming in," she announced. "The object, it's slowing down. It's going to stop right at the edge of council space. And sir," she looked up, her eyes wide, "we're starting to get clear images. It's not just an object. It's a ship, a warship, and it's covered in markings we've never seen before." Do-One stood up slowly, his silver skin dulling with worry. 3 centuries of peace and power had made the Council forget that they might not be alone in the galaxy. As the massive ship approached, one thing became very clear. Everything was about to change. "Sound the alert," Do One ordered. "All Council ships to battle stations. But do not, I repeat, do not fire unless fired upon. We need to know what we're dealing with before we—" He never finished his sentence. At that moment, every screen in the Council chamber lit up with a message. It was written in perfect Council standard language. "Greetings from the United Earth Fleet. We come in peace and request permission to establish diplomatic relations." The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Their quiet corner of the galaxy would never be the same again. Senior Ambassador Tai Yang paced the emergency command center, his polished shoes clicking against the metal floor. Through the massive window, he could see the human ship clearly now. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Sleek black metal with glowing blue lines running along its hull. The ship was so large it blocked out one of the three suns. "This is ridiculous," Tai Yang said, stopping to stare at the ship. "They can't just show up and demand diplomatic relations. We have protocols." Captain Jaho sat at the command station, watching multiple screens at once. His Council Defense Fleet ships looked like tiny toys next to the human vessel. "Sir, with all respect, I don't think our protocols matter much right now. That ship could probably destroy this entire station with one shot." The young analyst Newell worked quietly in the corner, studying data streams from their sensors. "Captain, look at these readings," she said. "Their ship's outer hull. It's made of materials we've never seen before. And these energy readings, their power source must be incredible." Suddenly, all screens in the command center changed. A face appeared. A human face. The person looked surprisingly normal, except for their darker skin tone, which none of the Council races had. "This is Captain Da-hyun of the UEF Terra's Wrath," the human said in perfect Council standard. "We apologize for any alarm our arrival may have caused. We've been observing Council space for some time, and felt it was finally time to make contact." Tai Yang straightened his robes and stepped forward. "This is highly irregular. You can't just—" "Ambassador," Jaho cut in quickly, "perhaps we should listen first." The human captain smiled. "We understand this is unexpected. If you'd like proof of our peaceful intentions, please note that we've kept our weapon systems powered down. We're also transmitting our ship's specifications now, as a show of trust." Newell's eyes went wide as data flooded her screen. This can't be right," she whispered. "Their ship has enough power to run 1,000 stations like ours. Their weapons could—" She stopped, looking pale. "Could what?" Tai Yang demanded. "Could destroy an entire planet, sir. But they're not just showing us their weapons. Look at these other systems. They have medical technology far beyond ours, faster than light drives we never dreamed possible. And—" She paused, checking the data again. "They can terraform dead worlds into garden planets in just 10 years. Captain Jaho studied the human on the screen. "You've been watching us. For how long?" 50 of your years, Captain Da-hyun replied. "We wanted to understand your culture before making contact. We've hidden our observation posts using technology your sensors couldn't detect. We mean no harm. We simply believe it's time for humanity to join the galactic community." Tai Yang sank into a chair. 50 years. Impossible. "Our security systems were excellent by your standards," the human captain said kindly. "But we're here to share our technology, not lord it over you. Earth believes in cooperation, not conquest." Just then, Council Head Do-One entered the command center. Everyone stood, but he waved them back to their seats. His silver skin looked dull with worry. "Captain Da-hyun," Do-One said, "your arrival has caused quite a stir. Some Council members are calling for immediate military action, while others want to surrender outright." The human laughed, a warm, friendly sound. "Neither is necessary, Council Head. We're applying for normal Council membership, nothing more. Though we do have some suggestions for updating the membership protocols. They're a bit outdated." Newell raised her hand slightly. Sir, the human ship, they're sending more data. They've included plans for their basic shield technology as a gift. Even this basic version is 100 years ahead of our best shields. Do-Won nodded slowly. Captain Da-Hyun, would you and a small delegation like to board our station? We can begin preliminary discussions. We'd be honored, the human replied. Though you should know, Terra's Wrath is just one of our smaller exploration vessels. We have much more to share when you're ready. The command center went silent. Smaller vessels. Hae-Nul looked at her datapad again. If this was a small ship, what did their large ships look like? Prepare the main conference room, Do-Won ordered. And someone please calm down the fruit traders. I believe their trade dispute is no longer our biggest concern. As the humans prepared to dock, Tai Yang watched their massive ship with a mix of fear and wonder. The age of council complacency was over. The question was, what would come next? Security Chief Sun Mi's office was in complete chaos. Reports flooded in from every corner of council space as news of the human ship spread. Her staff rushed around, carrying datapads and shouting updates. The normally calm security center looked like a disturbed ant nest. Get me a direct line to all Defense Fleet commanders, Sun Mi ordered, her voice sharp with stress. And someone tell those panic-spreading news channels to calm down. A junior officer ran up to her desk. Chief, we have reports of riots starting on 3 outer worlds. People are scared the humans will attack. Some are saying we should strike first. Sun Mi rubbed her temples. In her 20 years as security chief, she'd never faced anything like this. Where is Kita? She asked. I need my best diplomat right now. Here, Chief. Kite appeared, looking younger than his 30 years. His usual neat appearance was messy, with his hair sticking up from running his hands through it too many times. I've been studying everything we know about the humans. It's amazing. Amazing isn't helpful right now. Sun Mi snapped. I need to know if they're dangerous. Kita spread several datapads on her desk. That's just it, Chief. They're incredibly dangerous, but not in the way we think. Look at this. They've had the power to destroy us for 50 years. But instead, they watched and learned about us. They're not conquerors, they're teachers. The security displays showed the human ship, Terra's Wrath, still hanging in space like a dark star. Smaller council ships patrolled around it, looking like tiny fish swimming near a whale. Teachers? Sun Mi asked, raising an eyebrow. What makes you say that? Before Kita could answer, the door burst open. Hae-Nul rushed in, carrying new data readings. Chief Sun Mi. The humans. They're sharing more technology with us. Basic stuff for them. But she paused to catch her breath. Their basic medical technology could cure nearly every disease in council space. Sun Mi stood up and walked to the window. From here, she could see the council's main fleet gathered nearby. 300 ships, the pride of their civilization, and one human ship made them all look obsolete. Kita, she said quietly, what do your diplomatic instincts tell you about their real goals? The young diplomat studied his notes. They're being completely open with us. That's what's most surprising. No hidden demands, no threats. They're treating us like younger siblings who finally grew up enough to join the family business. A loud alarm suddenly blared through the office. Everyone jumped. What now? Sun Mi demanded. A technician looked up from his station, his face pale. The human ship it just scanned our entire station, down to the atomic level. Our best shields didn't even slow down their scanners. Hae-Nul checked her readings. They're sending a message. They found structural weaknesses in our station's design. They're offering to help us fix them. And they've included plans for better building materials. Sun Mi sank into her chair. They could destroy us any time they want. Instead, they're helping us build better stations. Kita, what do you make of this? The young diplomat smiled. I think we're seeing true power, Chief, the humans are so far ahead of us that they don't need to prove anything. They're secure enough to be kind. Just then, Captain Jaiho's voice came over the station speakers. Attention all personnel. The human delegation is preparing to dock. All security teams to your assigned positions. Remember, no aggressive moves. I repeat, no aggressive moves. Sun Mai watched as her security teams moved into position. Their weapons looked like children's toys compared to what the humans probably had. Yet the humans had chosen to come in peace. Hanul, she called out, what's the latest data showing about their ship? The young analyst looked up from her pad. Chief, they just revealed that this ship, the one we thought was massive, it's their equivalent of a small research vessel. They have ships 10 times this size. The office went quiet. Even the alarms seemed to fade into the background. Everyone stared at the massive black ship outside their window, trying to imagine something 10 times larger. Kita, Sun Mai said finally, go prepare the diplomatic reception area. Hanul, gather all the data we have. I need to brief Council Head Du-1 before the humans arrive. She paused, looking at her staff. And everyone remember, we're not facing an enemy today. We're meeting our future. As her team rushed to their tasks, Sun Mai watched the human ship through her window. For 3 centuries, the Council had thought they were the height of civilization. Now they knew better. The real question was, were they ready to learn? First Contact Specialist Yu Jin stood nervously in the Council's grand reception hall. She was the first human to ever set foot on the station, chosen because she had studied Council cultures for 20 years. Behind her, the airlock door opened with a soft hiss, and Captain Da-hyun stepped through with 4 other human crew members. Remember, Yu Jin whispered to her team, they're not used to our appearance. Try to move slowly and smile gently. The Council Reception Committee stood in a half-circle before them. Council Head Du-1's silver skin gleamed under the lights. Next to him, Security Chief Sun Mai watched the humans with sharp eyes, while young Hanul couldn't stop staring at their strange uniforms. Welcome to Celestial Station Alpha, Du-1 said formally. We are honored by your presence. Captain Da-hyun stepped forward and bowed deeply, a gesture they had learned from studying Council customs. The honor is ours, Council Head. We have waited long for this day. Yu Jin noticed how the Council members relaxed slightly at the familiar greeting. She had helped design this moment carefully. Everything, from their simple black uniforms to their respectful postures, was chosen to put the Council at ease. If I may ask, Sun Mai spoke up, why now? Why reveal yourselves after 50 years of watching? Captain Da-hyun smiled warmly. Because you're ready. Your civilization has reached a critical point. You can either grow beyond your current limits or, he paused, choosing his words carefully, or stagnate. Hanul couldn't contain herself any longer. Your ship's technology, it's incredible. How does your drive system work? And those scanners? Hanul. Tai Yang snapped. Show some dignity. But Captain Da-hyun laughed. No, please. This is exactly the kind of curiosity we hope to find. He turned to his team. Show them. One of the human crew members stepped forward and activated a hologram projector. The air filled with detailed images of human space stations, ships, and cities. The Council members gasped. This is Earth, our homeworld, Yu Jin explained. And these are just some of our colonies. We have settled 50 star systems so far. 50 systems. Du-1's silver skin paled. But managing that many is easy with the right technology, Captain Da-hyun finished. Technology we want to share with you. Kaita, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. Share. Just like that. Why? Yu Jin stepped forward. Because that's what humans do. We believe knowledge should be shared. Power should be used to help others grow, not to keep them down. She gestured to the hologram, which now showed human and alien species working together on various worlds. We've met other civilizations before you. Some are now our closest allies. We don't want subjects or servants. We want friends and partners. Security Chief Sun's eyes narrowed. And if we refuse, then we leave, Captain Dahyun said simply. We continue watching, waiting until you're ready. We won't force anything on you. The reception hall went quiet. The council members looked at each other, centuries of being the most powerful force in their space, making this moment hard to process. Haenul broke the silence again. Those ships in the hologram, they're even bigger than Terra's Wrath. Yes, Yu-Jin smiled. Terra's Wrath is a small research vessel. Would you like to see images of our actual battleships? Before anyone could answer, alerts started flashing on Sun's datapad. Council head, she said urgently, 3 council worlds are requesting immediate human medical help. The technology specifications they shared, our doctors said could save millions of lives. Do-Won looked at the human delegation, then at his own people. The choice was becoming clear. Captain Dahyun, he said formally, would you and your team join us in the council chamber? I believe it's time we discussed the future together. As they walked to the chamber, Yu-Jin fell into step beside Haenul. Your curiosity, she said quietly. That's exactly why we chose now to appear. Your generation is ready for change. Haenul beamed with pride. Behind them, through the station's windows, Terra's Wrath floated peacefully in space. Its dark hull no longer seemed frightening, but full of promise. The time of hiding was over. The time of sharing had begun. And the galaxy would never be the same. Council member Min Seo stood in the center of the council chamber, her voice clear and strong. All around her, representatives from 200 worlds argued about the humans. The chamber, usually so orderly, was split into angry groups. We must accept their help. Min Seo shouted over the noise. Look at what they've already shared with us. 3 incurable diseases, solved in one day. It's a trick, shouted one of the older members. They'll make us dependent on their technology. The argument might have continued, but everyone went quiet as Admiral Sang-hoon of the human fleet appeared in the doorway. He was taller than Captain Dahyun, with gray hair and kind eyes. Behind him, massive screens showed a news site that had appeared an hour ago. 3 more human ships had joined Terra's Wrath. Your concerns are natural, Admiral Sang-hoon said, walking to the center of the chamber. Change is always frightening, but let me show you something. He pressed a button on his uniform. The chamber's lights dimmed, and a huge hologram appeared. It showed Earth's history, wars, pollution, near destruction. Then it showed how they recovered, united, and reached the stars. We were like you once, the Admiral explained. Afraid, divided, unsure. Then we learned that the only way forward was together. Haenul, now promoted to senior analyst, stepped forward with her datapad. Council members, the humans have provided proof. Their technologies have already helped 12,000 people on the outer worlds, and they're sharing everything. The plans, the science, even their mistakes, so we can learn from them. Min Seo nodded. And their ships, they could have conquered us at any time in the past 50 years. Instead, they waited, watched, made sure we were ready. Security Chief Sun Mei stood next to her security teams. Their weapons hadn't been needed once. The humans walked around the station freely, helping anyone who asked, teaching anyone who wanted to learn. Admiral, Sun Mei asked, what happens next if we accept your help? Admiral Sang-hoon smiled. First, we teach you to build better ships. Not warships, exploration vessels. There's so much of the galaxy still to discover. Then we help you improve your worlds, clean your oceans, heal your sick. After that, he paused, looking around the chamber. After that, we explore the stars together. Council head Do-Won's silver skin had regained its shine. He stood from his chair. The council has existed for 3 centuries. We thought we were the height of civilization. We were wrong. But being wrong is not a shame. Refusing to learn from it is. Yum Kita, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The humans have shown us one thing clearly. True power isn't about having the biggest ships or the strongest weapons. It's about having the wisdom to use your strength to help others. The chamber grew quiet as a new hologram appeared. It showed the human fleet's real size. Thousands of ships, each more impressive than the last. But they weren't arranged in battle formation. Instead, they were shown helping other worlds, exploring new systems, building rather than destroying. This could be us, Min Seo said softly. Not just the council anymore, but part of something bigger. Admiral Sanghun nodded. We call it the United Stars Initiative. Many civilizations working together, each bringing their own strengths. The council's experience in managing different species would be invaluable. Hey Newell's data pad beeped. She looked at it and gasped. Sir, the outer worlds. They're all voting. They want to accept the humans' help. All of them. Do-Won looked around the chamber. The angry groups had mixed together now, talking excitedly about possibilities instead of dangers. Even Ta Yang, who had been so against the humans at first, was discussing cultural exchange programs with Yu Jin. Admiral, Do-Won said formally, I believe it's time for a vote. But first, why did you name your ship Terra's Wrath if you come in peace? Admiral Sanghun laughed. Ah, that was a small joke. You see, Terra's Wrath isn't a threat. It's a teaching vessel. Its full name is Terra's Wrath Against Ignorance. We believe the only enemy worth fighting is ignorance itself. Through the chamber windows, the 4 human ships floated peacefully. They no longer looked frightening. Instead, they looked like the beginning of something new, something wonderful. The power had shifted, but not in the way anyone expected. The council hadn't lost power. They had gained the chance to become something greater than they had ever imagined. 1 month after the humans' arrival, Celestial Station Alpha looked very different. Blue glowing human technology now mixed with council systems. Council engineers worked side by side with human technicians, learning and sharing knowledge. Hanul walked through the newly upgraded main corridor, still amazed by how much had changed. Her new data pad, a gift from the humans, could do things she once thought impossible. She stopped to watch a group of council medical students learning to use human healing devices. Incredible, isn't it? Said a voice behind her. She turned to see Kita, now the head of Human Council Relations. I keep thinking I'll wake up, and it will all be a dream, Hainul admitted. Did you see the new ships they're helping us build? Kita nodded excitedly. The first one launches today. Want to watch? They hurried to the observation deck. The room was packed with council members from all species, watching through the massive windows. In the construction dock floated a new kind of ship, built by council workers but using human designs. It was smaller than Terra's Wrath, but far more advanced than anything the council had built before. This is Council Exploration Vessel Hope, announced Captain Jiho proudly. He now worked closely with the humans, learning their advanced spaceflight techniques. The first of many. The ship's engines lit up with a beautiful blue glow. It moved smoothly out of the dock, its new hull shining under the 3 suns. Council Head Do-Won stood at the front of the observation deck, his silver skin reflecting the blue engine light. 1 month ago, Do-Won said to the crowd, we thought the humans were here to conquer us. Instead, they taught us that real strength comes from working together. Security Chief Sun Mei appeared next to them, looking more relaxed than she had in years. My security teams are learning things I never imagined possible. Yesterday, they showed us how to detect ships in other dimensions. Other dimensions? Hainul asked, eyes wide. That's just the beginning, said Yujin, joining their group. The human specialist now moved comfortably among council members, no longer drawing surprised looks. Wait until you see what's planned for next month. On the main screen, images showed changes happening across council space. Old pollution-cleaning machines were being replaced with human environmental technology. Sick people walked out of hospitals completely cured. Farm worlds learned to grow 10 times more food using less land. Remember when we were arguing about fruit prices? Kita laughed. Seems silly now. Tai Yang, who had changed from the biggest doubter to one of the strongest supporters of human cooperation, walked up to their group. The outer worlds just sent their latest reports. Every single improvement project is ahead of schedule. The humans don't just give us technology. They teach us how to make it better. Through the window, they could see Terra's Wrath and its sister ships. Council ships now moved confidently around them, no longer afraid. Young Council pilots learned to fly alongside human vessels, preparing for joint exploration missions. Look, Haynul pointed excitedly. A new hologram had appeared over the station, showing plans for the future. Cities rebuilt with clean energy, oceans cleared of pollution, new gardens on dead worlds, and ships ready to explore unknown parts of space. We thought we were the greatest power in this part of space, Sunmai said quietly. But true power isn't about being the strongest. It's about helping others become strong too. The new council ship, Hope, performed a perfect turn, its human-designed engines humming smoothly. On board, council crew members worked with human advisors, learning systems that would have seemed like magic just a month ago. Your people learn incredibly fast, Yu Jin commented. Some of your engineers are already suggesting improvements to our designs. Do-Won turned to address the crowd again. 1 month ago, our council was in Disarray at the site of a human battleship. Today, we stand together as partners. Tomorrow, he looked at the plans showing future discoveries. Tomorrow, we explore the stars together. As if to emphasize his words, Hope's engines flared brighter. The ship began its first test flight, carrying the dreams of 2 civilizations working as one. The new reality wasn't about fear or power anymore. It was about what they could achieve together. The council wasn't in disarray anymore. They were part of something much bigger and much better than they had ever been alone. 6 months had passed since the humans first appeared. The council chamber looked very different now. Where once only council members sat, human representatives now joined them. The old power seats were gone, replaced by a circular arrangement where everyone sat as equals. Haynul, now Chief of Joint Scientific Development, stood at her new station. Around her, holographic displays showed amazing progress. 50 new exploration ships under construction, 30 dying worlds being restored, and countless lives improved by human medical knowledge. Remember when we thought they came to destroy us? Kita whispered to her, smiling. He wore the new uniform of the Joint Diplomatic Corps, a mixture of council and human styles. Hard to believe it was only 6 months ago, Haynul replied. Look at us now. Council Head Do-Won sat with Admiral Sang-hoon, reviewing reports from the first joint exploration mission. The mission had discovered 3 new habitable worlds and made peaceful contact with another developing civilization. They remind me of how the council was before we arrived, Admiral Sang-hoon said, looking at images of the new civilization. Shall we watch over them too? Do-Won's silver skin glowed with pride. Yes, and when they're ready, we'll welcome them just as you welcomed us. Suddenly, excited whispers filled the chamber. Outside the station's windows, a massive ship appeared. Unlike the warships everyone had feared 6 months ago, this was different. It was beautiful, a combination of human and council design. The Unity, Security Chief Sun Mai announced proudly. Our first joint-built city ship. The Unity was enormous, bigger even than Terra's Wrath. But instead of weapons, it carried laboratories, living spaces, and exploration equipment. It was designed to carry both human and council crews on long-term missions of discovery. Remember when we kept arguing about who had the most power? Tai Yang asked the chamber. The old ambassador had become one of the strongest supporters of cooperation. Now we build ships together that neither of us could have built alone. Captain Jai-ho, who now commanded the Unity, appeared on the main screen. Behind him, human and council crew members worked together seamlessly. "All systems are ready," he reported. "Permission to begin our first mission." Do-1 stood up, joined by Admiral Sangoon. "Where are you heading first, Captain?" "There's a galaxy arm we've never explored," Jai-Ho replied excitedly. "The humans call it the Frontier Reach. We're taking scientists, explorers, and diplomats from both our peoples." Yu-Jin, who had married a council member last month in a ceremony that combined both cultures' traditions, stepped forward. "The Unity carries something else too," she said. "Hope, dreams, proof that different species can work together and make something greater than themselves." The chamber's new systems hummed softly. Clean energy powered everything now, thanks to human technology. But the council hadn't just taken. They'd given too. Their experience in managing different species had helped humans improve their own diplomatic protocols. "Look," Newell said suddenly, pointing to her screens. "The outer worlds that were dying 6 months ago. The last one just reported their atmosphere is clean again. We did it." Cheers filled the chamber. Council members and humans celebrated together, no longer separated by fear or suspicion. Through the windows, more ships appeared, the new Joint Defense Fleet. But these ships weren't built for war. They were built to protect, to help, to explore. "It's time," Do-1 announced. "Captain Jai-Ho, you have permission to launch. Show the galaxy what we can achieve together." The Unity's engines lit up with a beautiful blue-gold light, human power systems combined with council design. As the ship prepared to leave, Newell looked around the chamber that had once been filled with fear and confusion. Now it was filled with hope. 6 months ago, we saw a human battleship and thought it was the end, she said quietly. Instead, it was just the beginning. The Unity moved gracefully into deep space, carrying the dreams of 2 civilizations turned one. Behind it, Terra's Wrath and the old council ships looked like proud parents watching their child take its first steps. The council wasn't in Disarray anymore. They weren't afraid anymore. They had found something better than power, better than control, better than fear. They had found friends among the stars. The chamber glowed with the light of 3 suns, but the future glowed even brighter. Together, they were ready to face whatever the galaxy held next. Not as humans and council members, but as explorers, dreamers, and friends.